Alrighty. Here we are, back at it again with a walk and ramble. So finally I found a place. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. Genesis 1:1. Wow, crazy. There's a lot of these signs. I'm not going to look at all of them. This is a, I guess, wildlife sanctuary, it said. Just a little wooded path behind this church. But anyway, I want to really dig into what this is about. Okay, the central thesis of this channel, the primary reason I'm doing what I'm doing, is simply this: the social contract is broken. Okay, the social contract is broken. It's broken for me, especially in recent months, but it's also broken for most people. Our, frankly, entire society is just not in a good spot right now. And there's many reasons to believe that, many things to point to, but I will not dig into that at the moment. What I want to explain is just that primary initial statement. The social contract is broken. So, in order to explain that, we have to understand, what do I mean by the social contract? Okay? It's, pretty self-explanatory, but it's basically referring to the sort of unwritten agreement of society, of civilization. When we, as humans, organize into groups and form communities and cities and, eventually states and nations, etc., we agree essentially to follow certain rules, right? We agree that in order to cooperate and work together, we have to be able to trust each other at a fundamental level, right? And so when we enter into such an agreement where, we're going to cooperate, you are sort of inherently, automatically relinquishing your own individual willpower, I guess. It's difficult to explain, as I'm sure you can tell by me stumbling through it. Basically, okay, the best, perhaps the better way to put it is there's a sort of distinction, I would say. There's a dichotomy between, on the one hand, we have social structure, we have society, we have groups that cooperate and work together, versus, on the other hand, same hand, other side, we have natural law, as they call it, the law of the jungle, right? where basically everyone is selfish, self-interested, and willing to do anything to get whatever it is that they want or need, right? So that's the sides. Those are the options, right? There's law of the jungle, where, you know, every man for himself. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Or we create this society. We have communities, towns, cities, states, nations of people supposedly cooperating. And in order to, you know, make sure they're stable, we agree that, hey, we're not gonna live by law of the jungle, right? So we're not gonna be selfish. We're not gonna be especially violent or manipulative or, you know, liars and cheaters, you know, because that's law of the jungle, right? That's selfishness. That's, you know, looking out for yourself and only yourself is when you lie and cheat and steal, basically, right? If I need food and I'm starving to death, you know, I'm gonna do whatever I can to fix that, right? Including killing, right? Whether it's, you know, other animals to eat or people who are, say, in the way in some capacity. That's law of the jungle, okay? Selfish, just doing, you know, survival by any means necessary, right? That is that option, okay? But then the other option, again, is when we organize into groups. So in order to keep those stable, we agree to not be selfish. We agree to not lie and cheat and steal and manipulate and, you know, be violent. We agree not to kill each other. But we, you know, why do we do it? Why would we make such an agreement if it feels like it is against our best interest, right? Because to be selfish means to put your interest above everything else. But if you are agreeing to be part of a group, the only reason you do that is if you believe that the group is in your best interest, right? That's what it's about. The group, the society, the sort of unwritten agreement is that we relinquish our selfish instincts because we are convinced that the group will be better for us individually, because the group will help support and provide and protect everything that we want and need, right? That is the core fundamental principle of society. It is the social contract. You agree to help the group in the name of helping yourself. Okay? So, why do I say that this social contract is broken? Because it is. It very much is. Oh boy, is it broken. Boy, oh boy, is it broken. And I'm sure Most of you can see that clear as day. Clear as day. It's broken. Because no longer does society benefit the individual who plays by the rules. It's just not happening anymore. I mean, to put it simply, it's just not fair. The world we live in today is not fair. Because those who play by the rules, those that do what they're told, those that refuse virtuously, righteously, morally, they refuse to lie and cheat and steal and manipulate and exploit and be violent for their own gain. They refuse that, and what do they get? You know, barely livable wages in dead-end meaningless jobs where the vast majority of the value of their labor is taken and redirected elsewhere. Okay? And this is not just a me issue, as much as it very much has been a me issue. It is not just me, it is damn near everyone, right? And I see that everywhere I go, and it's frustrating, because as much as I could, you know, work my own ass off and pull up my own bootstraps and work my way up, I know there are many other people who are not going to be able to, even if they tried. And so I speak not just for myself, but for the vast majority of people out there who are just getting absolutely shit on, despite doing everything that they're told. You know, like, everyone was told, oh, you need to go to college to get a good job. And then what happens? Well, everyone gets tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, and then they can't get a good job anyway, and then, you know, they can barely pay it off, and some people have... You see so many stories of people literally paying off their student debt for years and years, and the interest is so high that they literally owe more after paying off, like, for years and years. And it's ridiculous. It's absurd. That's just one example. There's so many. But anyway, that's the idea. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. Okay? It is just flat out ridiculous. The social contract is broken. And so what happens is the people who are trying to do the right thing, they get stuck somewhere in the middle or the bottom even. Maybe they work their way up the corporate ladder here and there, get a couple promotions and raises. Yeah, okay, maybe they can make a decent living. Sure. But they're still probably in boatloads of debt. They still can probably barely afford a house, barely afford to raise a family, and they certainly can't afford it on a single income, which then, of course, means that the woman, or, you know, either of them, both parents have to work, and so then you're just adding costs with childcare, and, you know, everyone knows this issue is an issue, right? But it's just getting so bad, and it's only gonna get worse and worse and worse, and so I want to make it very clear to everyone, okay? Very clear, abundantly, perfectly clear. When we live in a society, we are implicitly agreeing to follow certain rules because we believe that the society will benefit us, okay? As soon as the society does not benefit us for following the rules, those rules go out the window, okay? That is how it works. And that is why people at the lowest rungs turn into criminals. That is why they resort to violence and theft, etc., right? Because society is not taking care of them properly. And so they say to themselves, well, guess it's law of the jungle now. Ha 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 ha. Right? And here's the other thing. When you look at the tippy top, you look at, all the people in power that are creating and enforcing these rules, these structures, etc. They're funding them. All of these people, whether it's politicians or entrepreneurs, whatever, millionaires, billionaires, etc. All these people, vast majority of them anyway, only get there by breaking those rules, those agreements. Okay? You would think in a civilized society, lying, cheating, stealing, manipulating, exploiting, and violence, would not raise your position. But in the world we live in, they very much do. And even just for the simple fact that it is impossible. It is legitimately impossible to become so absurdly, disgustingly wealthy without blatantly stepping on the throats of the laborers around you, beneath you, theoretically, in terms of wealth and power, beneath you, right? It's just impossible. It only happens through cheating the system. And there are so many ways that they do that, and I could get into it, but just for the simplest example, how much money is poured into politics, right? How many of these rich assholes are bribing politicians to make the rules benefit them? And so that's what has happened. That's where we are, that's where we've been, that's where we're heading more and more every day. The rules are created to benefit those at the top who only got there by breaking the rules in the first place. And so, increasingly, more and more every day, the average person is incapable of living a so-called life of dignity by following the rules, by doing what is right. It's absurd. It is ridiculous. And as I have said repeatedly, it is only going to get worse and worse and worse. The social contract is broken. It is broken. And very, very soon, the average person, I am sure, the average person will see that they can no longer play by the rules. It no longer benefits them to care about the collective. Everyone must be selfish. Everyone must be greedy. Everyone must lie and cheat and steal and manipulate and become violent to get what they want and need to survive. Okay? Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I hope so. I sincerely hope so, because I don't see this issue going away without serious conflict of some capacity. And again, this is the central thesis of this channel and why I'm doing what I'm doing, etc., etc. So again, I say the social contract is broken. We are not living by the same rules, and we cannot keep doing this. Simply, we cannot keep doing this. So, yeah, I think that's about it for today's lesson. I hope you've appreciated my perspective. Again, this is only the beginning, right? This is just the first inkling of a thought that leads into many, many other things, much more theory and philosophy and analysis about what the problem is and how to fix it. And that is what I wish to figure out, is how to fix it. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching if you did. Thanks for listening if you did. Love and peace. Okay. Bye-bye.